Hello and welcome to Literary Notes, a podcast by the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library. I'm your producer, Nathan Ureta. Do you allow others to see the darkest parts of yourself? If you do, what do you choose to share with people? What do you choose to hold back? Writer and social worker Michael Keene illuminates those parts of his mind for everyone to see in his book, Notes from the Trauma Party. Labeled as a novel, but drawing from his personal experience, the book is an unflinching look at addiction, social work, family issues, and much more. He sits down with former patron services specialist Izzy Fernandez to talk about Notes from the Trauma Party. But before we start, a couple of notes. Firstly, this episode handles some pretty heavy topics like suicide and drug addiction, so be advised that this might be a tough listen. Secondly, stay tuned after the interview for a few updates on books that we've covered in past episodes. Without further ado, here's Michael and Izzy's conversation.
Okay, I'm Izzy. I'm the Patron Services Specialist at the Talking Book and Braille Library. This is Michael Keene. He's a social worker and the author of Notes from the Trauma Party, a novel that explores memory, trauma, and addiction from a first-person lens. It has been described by the author George Saunders as one of the strangest, most powerful books I've read in a long time. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here. So I know this book covers a lot of difficult topics, so I want to start with maybe the most difficult one, which is, where is the best karaoke spot in Seattle?
Oh, that is an amazing question.
Yeah. Getting down to the
I would say my favorite is Water. Well, it depends on whether or not you want to do private room karaoke or kind of like bar karaoke.
Bar karaoke.
Bar karaoke, I would say Water Wheel in Ballard. They have it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. Sunday's the best day to do it because it starts at 7:30, and usually karaoke, most spots in the city start at 9:30.
Yeah.
9 or 9:30. But I also like Boombox in White Center, and a real treat is the Southgate roller rink in White Center because you can roller skate there, and also it's run by this place, Baby Ketten, that specializes in kind of niche songs that you can't find anywhere else. Ooh. So like if you want to sing like a Pavement song or some obscure Lana Del Rey song, like they'll have that at the Southgate roller rink. But yeah, I mean, I'm a real aficionado. Like I do karaoke still twice a week, I would say.
Twice a week?
Yeah, it's wild. And in terms of what makes a good place, I personally like it to be a little divey. Okay. I want it to feel like lived in. That's why I really like the Water Wheel, is that it feels, and it is kind of a dive bar.
Yeah, I've been there.
But I don't, at this point in I'm in recovery. So at this point in my journey or whatever, I don't really like going places where it feels people are like trashed. Yeah. So I usually leave karaoke by around midnight because that's the time at which people start to get a little sloppy.
Right.
But yeah, a little divey, and I love it so much. I mean, I love singing and performing, but really I'd love to watch other people perform, and
Me too.
For me, what's most magical is going with people that don't have a lot of karaoke experience, and you witness this kind of transformation where when they start singing the song, and sometimes this happens over the course of 2 or 3 performances, but they'll start singing the song and it's almost like a turtle. They'll be very inwardly oriented and they'll be shy. And as they get more comfortable, it's almost like a flowering or like a blossoming. And it's like you can see the vulnerability, and then there's like an opening. That's really a beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun to watch people who you wouldn't think would like go up and be that vulnerable, do it.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of why I started, because I hadn't done karaoke before we started this club, and I was really, I have like anxiety. Sure. And so it's kind of like exposure therapy for me.
Totally.
And I'd say it's worked. Like, it's made me more confident, and now I can like just go and have fun, and I'm not thinking so much about myself.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Okay. So this description on the back of your book describes it as a transgressively exhilarating depiction of millennial anime.
I did not write that, just to
I
be
was
clear.
wondering.
Yeah, no, I tried to, I was so grateful to my publisher for letting me publish the book, and I could tell she was very excited about writing the jacket copy, I guess it's called. I'm not sure, but it's not my voice. It's a little pretentious. I think it starts out calling something post Knausgaard, and I was like, that is
how to pronounce it.
yeah. I was like, that is. I mean, I know who Knausgaard is,
Yeah.
but I was like, I let her do it because I'm a very passive person in certain ways, and I was just like, you go ahead and do that. But I mean, that is kind of a source of embarrassment to me sometimes. Not like embarrassment, but so many people have been like, what is post Knausgaard, and it's just not my voice. But I see what she was going for with it, but it's just not really. I didn't write that. Let's just say that.
Would you say it's like a fair description of your book?
It's certainly transgressive in certain ways. And I don't know that it captures something about the millennial sensibility. I mean, it was such a personal book to write. I never thought I was going to publish it. I mainly have written fiction, and this is marketed as fiction, but it's mostly true.
Yeah.
And so when I started writing it, I was in addiction when I wrote it. It was a very rough time for me, and it was just, as an artist, I think you naturally want to go in areas that you haven't gone in before, and writing really, really autobiographically was new territory for me when I was writing it. So it's hard to think about like capturing something any larger than myself, because the book is so embedded in everything is refracted through the prism of my experience. Yeah. Everything. I mean, it's very externally oriented in terms of things are in scene, things involve other people. There's a lot of references to people, but it's all just centered in my consciousness and in the stuff that I was feeling and thinking and where I was at that particular point in my life. So I don't know. I mean, and like anime, like what does that even mean?
I
like,
had to look it up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. I was just like, okay, go ahead. Sharong was the publisher. I was like, wonderful.
Yeah.
That she published it, but yeah, I mean, I'm not even really sure what that means.
Yeah, I think when I Googled it, it was like millennial anime, like sensibility. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's how I read it.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's on my book.
Yeah. Well, I think the description it intrigued me. I was
good.
like, I don't know what some of these words mean, but I'm going to get to the
Yeah,
bottom of it.
Yeah.
And so it was a pleasant surprise when I opened the book and it was so like easy to read and accessible in that way. I'm curious what you said about, it's taking place from your point of view,
Mm-hmm.
but it's marketed, and on the cover it says it's a novel.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that decision. Why not just say this is a autobiography?
A great question that has kind of a complex answer. Or there's a number of answers to it. One is I didn't want, all the names have been changed. I didn't want to upset people.
Yeah.
And I did upset certain people. I lost a couple friends because of the book.
Oh.
Which is painful, but I could talk about that later. I also have a certain, not disdain, but honesty is important to me, and I knew that claiming 100% fidelity to reality, it doesn't feel honest to me in certain ways. And so saying like, this is all true, I know, like my memory is very bad. So it's like, I know that I knew when I was writing it that there were certain details that I was getting wrong. So I didn't want to present it as this is all fact, because I knew there were certain things my memory, of course, was clouded by substances a lot of the time. And then, there are minor things like, some of the publishing houses that I approached, like, primarily did fiction. They didn't, because certain places would be like, we accept fiction submissions. Other places would be like, we accept nonfiction submissions.
Okay.
So it didn't really matter to me. I mean, it's pretty clear, I think, if you read the book, that like some of the stuff you're like, he did not make this up. Like, this seems very obviously real. But the main thing was just I wanted to, in a way, protect certain people. But as I, said earlier, I didn't think I was ever going to publish this. I didn't even know like what the project was, because I didn't have a sense of like how it cohered. It was just a series of like anecdotes almost. Yeah. I didn't know how they cohered. And I mean, in a way, I still don't. I mean, like I wrote the book in 44 days.
Wow.
It was just like it came out of me. I started it the day that I got sober. I ended up relapsing later, but I started the day I got sober, wrote it in 44 days. And I think I took out 2 sections that didn't really fit, but, wrote it in 42 or 44 days, like 6 weeks essentially.
Wow.
And then I spent a few hours just kind of rearranging the sections. I knew, and that was just all impulse, like this looks good here, this looks good here. And I knew that I wanted the second to last, the penultimate section. I knew I want that to be the sexual abuse. I knew that, and I wanted to end on the dream.
Yeah.
And that's all I knew about the sections. And the first section I wrote the day I got sober was the second section, which involves my drug dealer at the time saying, "Welcome back." That was the first section I wrote. And I started that either the day I got I think I'd started the day I got sober, and then I wrote it in 6 weeks. So, I mean, the whole thing just seems like a fever dream to me, kind of writing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious about that quick turnaround. Do you usually write in those like quick spurts, or?
When I'm interested in a project, I write very quickly. For me, how quickly I'm writing is heavily correlated with how interested I am in the project, and in my estimation, if it's pretty good, or by my standards, it's good. If something is good and if it has energy, I will write it quickly. Mm-hmm. It's when things are, I'm not jazzed about something, that it's a little more plodding, and takes longer.
So with the latter, is that more like when you're writing fiction? Does that take more planning, or because this was so personal?
I'm not really a planner. Some people are very schematic when they're writing, and they'll like outline.
Yeah.
Like I know certain people really are that way. I am not that sort of writer, and I don't really want to be that sort of writer. For me, it's a very, like, the sense of like not knowing what's going to happen. Like, I'll have vague ideas of things that are going to happen when I'm writing fiction, but like I'm very intuitive, and I just kind of like I'll just kind of go in certain directions. And with this was a different project, the Trauma Party project, because they're drawn from my real life. Yeah. So like I knew what happened. I mean, I never knew, like most of the sections are, they end on like some like poetic or almost like aphoristic cliche, not cliche, that's the opposite of what I'm trying to say, but kind of like this like intense moment, mm-hmm. like some intense line. Philosophical, that's what I'm trying to say, like philosophical line. I never knew what those were. I didn't like write those down beforehand. So I didn't know what those would be, but the general stories, like being in Japan and running into the Japanese mafia and things like that, like I knew that story because I'd lived that story.
Right.
Yeah, not a planner though, in terms of writing.
That's kind of refreshing and comforting for me to hear.
Are you a writer as well?
Yeah. I think it's very in the diary at this moment.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pick your brain about that because
Sure.
I guess, like, what to you is the difference between like journaling for yourself about your life and then writing about your life for an audience? And where's the line?
It's a great question. Again, I don't keep a journal.
Okay.
I've never really kept a journal except when I was maybe for a few months when I was 13 years old. And I didn't think I was ever going to publish this, or I had no idea. I mean, it really felt like the image I have in my mind is like like it being like a ship sinking and me being in the middle of the ocean and me just dog paddling, trying to stay afloat. And it's like, the book is like my transmission out into the world before I drown.
Wow.
It's just like that. And I've had that image for a long time, just like trying to get something out before you like go under. And, so, I mean, I really like my headspace was so bad at that time and I was just trying to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to get out everything that was toxic inside me. But in terms of audience, yeah, I mean, there was some audience awareness because I don't know. I mean, I have an MFA, so and I have a PhD in creative writing as well. So my brain is hard, and I've read a lot. So my brain is kind of hardwired to think novelistically or to add certain details that will be kind of interesting that you can latch onto. But I don't have, I mean, I'm rambling. I don't really have a good answer because I didn't have a sense of audience at all when I was writing this. Like I really, what was important to me and what was interesting to me at the time artistically was just be honest. Just be honest, because there are a lot of sections that make me come across poorly. There are a lot of sections that make other people come across poorly, and I wasn't thinking about how people were coming across or how I was coming across. It was just like, just be honest.
Yeah. It would almost be like prohibitive to think about an audience because then you would kind of stop yourself from hurting feelings.
100%.
Yeah.
If I were thinking about the audience too much, there were certain things I wouldn't have said.
Yeah.
So, and in that way, kind of being an addiction and having my headspace be so poor was actually a boon. It was good because like I couldn't think, 3 steps ahead. I couldn't think like, oh, how will people react or anything like that? What will it be like if things get published? What will my parents think? I was just trying to put one foot in front of the other at that point in my life. So because of that, it was just like, be honest about where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And all of the other considerations were not there.
Yeah. You got nothing to lose.
Yeah, essentially.
But now it sounds like you found a little lifeboat or a little dinghy.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I love my life right now. My headspace is better than it's ever been. People are always like, oh, that sounds grim, but I work in hospice now as a social worker. I've had my job for coming up on 3 years. I'm really involved in the Seattle recovery community. I'm kind of like the go-to karaoke guy. Like I take a lot of people. What we were talking about earlier, where like watching people blossom, it's really a wonderful thing. And I see it a lot because, as I'm sure you know, a lot of people there have anxiety about doing karaoke, and their only experiences with doing it are when they are very drunk.
Wow.
And so a lot of the people I go with have no experience with doing karaoke sober. So it's like they'll be very scared. And then, they get more and more comfortable and they'll kind of blossom. But yeah, I'm very involved in the recovery community. I have a very vibrant social life. My headspace is good, which makes it a little weird, with people I know reading the book, because like I had, friends read the book, call me and think like, are you about to commit suicide?
Yeah.
Or like, are you okay? Are you about to die? And a lot of addicts, very few people knew how bad it was for me when I was going through it. Because at the very end, I was really isolating. And so it's also, and I'm sympathetic. Like, you have a close friend and you hear about really traumatic stuff they've been through, and it's upsetting, and you worry. And like, a lot of my friends didn't know about the sexual abuse or things like that, like, or about, how troubled my father is, or things like. The vast majority of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, people, because it's so personal.
Yeah.
And then people know things about you that, like, you don't share. Like, you would never share those things in, like, common conversation. But, like, so it's just odd. And I think that sometimes not everyone is, like, emotionally equipped to talk about certain things, of course. So I've had the experience a number of times with people reading my book, and I can sense they want to talk about it, but they're not really capable of talking about it because the subject matter is so kind of fraught and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have sympathy for that. So usually I just change the subject because I don't want to. It's too difficult. But I've had other like I had someone write me a letter and talk about his own sexual abuse as a result of reading my book, and that was very moving to me. But yeah, I mean, you just thinking about how you respond to a work of art, like, you have a personal reaction to it. It's like, how would I communicate to, like David Lynch or P.T. Anderson, like, if I were, well, David Lynch is now dead, but how would I say to David Lynch, this is how Mulholland Drive affected me? Like, you can't really communicate to an artist, like, how deeply something moves you. And the people in my life, even if they weren't moved by it, like, it's hard to talk to someone because you're seeing something so personal. The book is so personal for me that, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a hard thing to talk about with someone that with an artist. I almost don't even know what to say about the book, because it's, like, so personal. It's like a wound.
Yeah.
The book is like a wound.
Yeah, and you're on a press tour just talking about.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like and I mean, it's an honor. Like, it's an honor to be here. I was so happy to get the email about it, but it's a weird thing to talk about. So, especially, like I said, that period of my life, it was so grim, Izzy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
I really appreciate your vulnerability. I'm curious about, you said you deleted 2 sections from the original, but in the book you say you've written 20 novels.
I've written probably 30 at this point.
My question is, where are they, and can I read them? And are they autobiographical or are they fiction?
They're almost all fiction. I mean, there's autobiographical elements. I have written, and I'm trying to get it published right now, for a sequel to The Trauma Party, which is more about, it's called The Oblivion Prayer, which is kind of a riff on the Serenity Prayer, which is what we do in the recovery community. But yeah, it's The Oblivion Prayer. Yeah, I mean, I've been in more of an autobiographical mode the last couple of years. I mean, this book kind of jump-started that interest. But yeah, I mean, most of the stuff, like, I wrote in my MFA and in my PhD, I mean, a lot of it was just straight fiction. Like, I was really involved in high school debate. So I wrote a novel about high school debate.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, So I have written like 30 novels. It depends on how you define novel. Like, if you go by word count, I've definitely written 30 things over 40,000 words. Over 50,000, 60,000 anybody would say is a novel. And so things over 60,000 words, I've probably written about 20, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, putting this on the record, would love to read the next iteration of this. Because when it ended, the book ends, on such a moving note, and I just wanted to hear how you were doing.
Yeah.
I wanted, I wanted more because you toe this line of you're talking about really dark stuff, but you do it in such a way, you're so funny.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
And it's almost disorienting, like emotionally, but it kind of opens you up to make it more impactful.
That's such a sweet thing to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So I saw you have a poetry reading at Hugo House next week. Is that
I do.
right?
I'm going to be reading from The Oblivion Prayer,
Okay.
the Trauma Party sequel.
Is that poetry?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I'm going to read like a little poetry, but I only recently got into writing poetry. I'm going to read for about 15 minutes, and probably 13 of them is just me reading stuff either from the Trauma Party sequel or the Trauma Party book.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm a prose writer. I'm not a poet. Other people there are going to be reading poetry.
Gotcha. Okay. I read that. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah, you're welcome to
interesting.
come. It'll be fun.
It's free, guys.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you been to Hugo House before?
Oh yeah, I'm a fixture of the open mic scene there. Once a month they have this thing called Works in Progress, and I've gone there the last 4 years, basically every month. And I mean, they know me there as just the doom and gloom guy because I read a lot. I mean, as I was writing, or immediately when I finished writing Notes from the Trauma Party, I read a lot of those sections at Hugo House.
Wow.
And that was really the moment where I was like, maybe I should try to publish this, because people responded really favorably to it. They were like, this is good. Like this is really good what you're doing. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I should try to publish this. So yeah, Hugo House has been I've met a lot of people as a result of me going there, and it's a really supportive community. Writing is such a solitary thing, you're doing it alone. And so, I mean, I think in general, having community is so important, but particularly for writers, yeah, I mean, you need it if you're gonna continue,
Yeah. So you have a PhD in
creative writing,
English
creative writing. Yeah.
Was that before or after you got your master's in social work?
All after. Yeah. My professional journey has been a little odd. I got my MSW social work degree in 2009, and I did social work until I started my MFA program in 2013. So I did social work for a few years after I got my MSW in 2009. And the first section in the book talks about this. I had a patient commit suicide, and it just like emotionally ravaged me. And I got burned out. And I had this moment also talked about in the book where my old coworker said, she talked about a near-death experience she had, and I asked her if her life flashed before her eyes, and she said, no, what happened when I almost died was I thought about the regrets that I had. And then she turned the tables on me, and she said, like, what would you regret? What do you think you would regret if you were in that position? And first thing that popped into my mind was just like, I'd regret not trying to be a writer.
Wow.
I hadn't written that much at that point, but
Yeah.
I was just like, I would regret not trying to be an artist.
At that point, how old were you?
I was 25, I think. No. Let me do the math on this. I was 26 or 27.
Okay.
When she said to me, what would you regret not doing? And I had that thought. I would regret not trying to be a writer. And I went home that night, and my best friend, Michael, if Michael listens to this, hello, Michael. I told Michael, I was like, I want to go to an MFA program that night. And I started working toward that goal.
So because I, as somebody working in, a nonprofit space and, helping other people and in service of other people, that's where I find my purpose. And then also being an artist, your background, it really resonates with me.
Yeah.
And I know how I feel about this, but, yeah, how do you reconcile those two interests, and how does one help the other, or maybe affects the other?
These are great questions. Yeah. I view the two as being really connected emotionally. Writing is a part of me that I feel like accesses every part of my identity because there's like an intellectual and cerebral component, but it's also like really good writing for me. When I'm writing really well, it feels like it captures some part of my spirit, or like so definitely a lot of my emotion. And social work, like for example, working in hospice with people that are dying, like I'm there for conversations like that. I can help facilitate a conversation between a dying woman and her son.
Wow.
Where it's just kind of like, is there anything you'd like to tell your son before you die? And she can be like, you've given meaning to my life. That's amazing. And I mean, if you're drawn to vulnerability, which I think a lot of writers are, and a lot of the writers I love really are interested in experiences of vulnerability, then social work and writing, like they have a lot in common. And in terms of the things I'm drawn to in terms of writing, it's, you asked in terms of the connections, like a lot of the subject matter that I'm drawn to in terms of writing, certainly the last, let's say like 5-10 years, is influenced by my experiences as a social worker, homelessness, drug addiction, people that are dying, mental illness, all those things. Those are kind of like experiences of vulnerability, and I'm really drawn to that. Why that is, I don't know, but I'm really drawn to that. And, there's like relational stuff is so, like relating to other people is so important to me. And I think that a lot of that has to do with childhood trauma and feeling very alone and cut off from people. And so the way that I kind of made it through in a big part of my path toward healing has been like reaching out to other people and connecting with other people. And so there's definitely, a self-healing component involved with me being a social worker, because like I'm relating to other people and I'm trying to connect with other people, and like them being vulnerable helps me be vulnerable. It's healing for me to work to work in a profession that's so relational, and so interpersonally centered. A lot of the people I did I was really good at high school debate, and a lot of the people I did it with ended up becoming lawyers. And for a long time, I felt like a failure because I didn't choose like a really lucrative career, like being a lawyer. But that wasn't my path, like really working with other people and being exposed to vulnerability and being in close proximity to that is my path toward healing. That's what I need to be doing. And writing is the same thing. Like it makes me feel, it grants me access to my own vulnerability, and in some weird way that I don't really understand. It's like I'm bearing witness in the same way I do as a social worker, but I'm bearing witness to like myself. I'm bearing witness to like my own internal state, and that it gives me some sort of appreciation for it. It helps me like love myself or something, like writing.
Yeah, or understand yourself.
Yeah.
You said self-healing, but then in the book it sounds like with the client who committed suicide, that seemed more harmful to your mental state than
it was
healing.
Catastrophic.
So I'm wondering now, how do you protect yourself energetically?
A great question. I keep on saying great question, but these are great questions.
Thank you.
A lot of it, I'm sober So that's a big part of it. I'm able, like, my bandwidth is greater. I've also, you only learn your boundaries, or you don't only learn your boundaries, but you frequently learn your boundaries, and like professional boundaries as well, by exceeding them.
Mm.
And that was a moment where I exceeded a boundary and I was just emotionally eviscerated. And I had to kind of put the pieces back together. And when I did put the pieces back together, I had better boundaries. But it's like you go through it's like sink or swim. A lot of people burn out permanently with social work and they have to leave the field.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for a period. But at this point, I feel really healthy emotionally. And working with people that are dying is also, for me, everyone is surprised by this, but it's easier because there's no pressure. I'm not trying to like save people or fix people.
Yeah.
Unlike I worked at a homeless shelter. I was working at a homeless shelter when I wrote the book.
As a social worker.
Yeah. Trying to get people into rehab or things like that, and then they'll die of a drug overdose or whatever. There's no pressure in hospice. Like, they're dying. That's the baseline state of affairs. And if anyone's going to fix that, it's not me, the social worker. So I can kind of relax and just kind of bear witness to them and be supportive to them. Yeah.
Yeah. In the book, a question that comes up a lot, or just a theme, is your how you think about death.
Yeah.
And it's the common denominator of human existence. Does working in hospice, has that kind of eased your anxieties about it? Has it made you more accepting of?
Well, my buddy Josh, he has made fun of me for a long time because I think I've been like morbidly, or I've thought about death the entire time that he's known me. So since I was like 14, 15 years old, I've been thinking about it. And why I was so kind of morbidly preoccupied from a young age, I don't know. But I think there has been some acceptance about the reality of death. And even, I'm 41, and the older you get, the more people die. And I know people in the recovery community that have died. I just went to my aunt's funeral a couple of weekends ago. She struggled with addiction, and her husband, my uncle, he died of addiction. And addiction runs rampant in my family. But in terms of working in hospice, I'm not as afraid of the dying process. Because there are really good medications to help medicate for pain. But I do, in terms of the afterlife, it's tricky because I don't know anything about the afterlife, and I don't really think they're... Yeah, to answer your question, yes, I feel increasingly comfortable with death. And I'm still afraid of it in a lot of ways, but I am more and more at peace with it. And I do think working in hospice has helped with that. One thing they say in the recovery community is the only way out is through, or that's probably not just the recovery community, but, I was really afraid of death for a long time, and I have immersed myself in it. Like, I am around it all the time, every day. And
exposure therapy.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's like exposure therapy.
Yeah. How has that affected your writing, would you say? Coming to terms with that big question.
Well, there's a subject matter. I write, like the Trauma Party sequel, there's a lot of discussion of hospice stuff. But I think there's just a kind of softness that you have, as you get older and as you confront death more and more. There's a kind of resignation or softness because you're kind of like, I can't change certain things. Like when I was 25, or no, let's say when I was 30 in my MFA program, I was very ambitious, and I, like, in terms of my energy, it was very active. Like, I want to be famous, or I want to do this, I want to do that. And as and I think this is common for just getting older, you either don't achieve those ambitions, or you do achieve them and they're a little underwhelming. They're not what you expect them to be. And that it just, I don't know, it creates a certain kind of softness, or like you let go, and like you kind of have to let go. And like with the political climate and like everything going on, like there's so little you can control, you know. I can't even control my body. Like I could have cancer right now, or I could do this or that. All these, I could have an aneurysm at any moment. That's me being morbid again, you know, but there's just so little we have control over. I can't even control my thoughts half the time, like, you know, going all these different directions. So I just, there's a sense of acceptance and a sense of yielding, kind of, to the universe that's happening more and more as I get older. And I think working in hospice is a big part of that.
Yeah. How do you balance working with writing?
Well, people wonder about that too, or my friends do. I just write for unless I'm really excited about a project, then I'll do it more. But I wake up pretty early, and I'll write usually for 30 minutes to an hour. My goal is to get 333 words per day, which is about 2 paragraphs, which isn't that much. But if you get 333 words a day, that's 10,000 words a month. If you get 10,000 words a month, that's 60,000 in 6 months. So you're writing a novel every 6 months.
Wow.
So a novel, you think, or at least a draft of a novel, you think like, oh, that's such a ambitious undertaking, but doing 2 paragraphs a day is not that big of a deal. It's just that if you do 2 paragraphs a day every day, it adds up. I mean, the key for me is just to and sometimes I don't write anything. I'll just kind of zone out and stare at the screen. But if I'm dedicating time each day to doing it, it will add up. And the reason I have, 20 to 30 novels is because most days I've carved out that time, and I've done that for the last 15 years. That's 30 novels,
So every morning you have a project that you're building on. It's not just like you're waking up and writing 2 paragraphs about what.
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, and I have all sorts of ideas. So I usually don't go that long between projects. And usually I'll have an idea for a future project while I'm working on one. And I'll just, write it down or type it. Yeah, and I'm fortunate that way. There's no shortage of ideas for me. But it just adds up, 333 words a day. And also, I like the number 3. So there's something about 333 that's pleasing to me.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
That's helpful for me. So George Saunders has a quote on the back of your book, and he says that something about you embody a national, voice, but also a very personal one. And I think I see what you're saying about that.
Yeah.
That was another thing I was excited to talk to you about, was getting that quote. How did that happen, and how did it feel when you heard that for the first time?
It was great. Yeah, it was really, it was very moving to me. He was my professor.
Okay.
At Syracuse. Okay. And I hadn't talked to him for a while, but he was a really important person to me, not so much in terms of writing. I love him as a writer, but I had workshop with him, and he just gave me more life advice, because I was drinking very heavily at the time when I had his workshop, and my writing was very different at that point. It was very show-offy and like clever and trying to be draw attention to itself. And he just sat me down. I went to his office hours, and he said to me, he was just like, like you're a good writer, but he was like, it might be helpful. And he said this in a very gentle and kind way, but he was like, it might be helpful for you to think, what are your values as a writer? Like, what do you want most to do? And he kind of implied that what I wanted most to do, like I was more interested in emotion than I was in the show-offy stuff I was doing. And he was kind of like, so why are you doing the show-offy stuff? Like you can do that, but it doesn't seem it doesn't seem like that's what's most important to you. Like he could see the kind of conflict in what I was writing, where it was like I was interested in emotion, but I was also interested in the show-offy stuff. And I mean, the Trauma Party book felt very naked to me. And I mean, one thing is that like I don't use a lot of commas in the book, and I'm usually very obsessive about my comma usage. It was the first and the only project I've ever done where I wasn't very fastidious about like punctuating properly. I wanted it to so in that way, that was another way the Trauma Party book felt kind of like me just like releasing my grip on things and just like let it all hang out. Don't try to control stuff as much. And, writing very quickly, like I said. But, so in a lot of ways, it was just like me giving up. Writing the book was just like, I'm not going to try my usual tricks. I'm not going to try to be clever. And, I mean, a lot of my friends are like, when they read the book, just said, yeah, it kind of feels like this is just you talking, which I don't take as an insult at all. It's just kind of, it's like, it's my everyday voice.
Yeah.
It's not really performative at all. It was just, and the writing process, I wrote it in 42 or 44 days or whatever it was. It was just like, that's my voice, like my natural voice. And it's me not trying as hard anymore.
Yeah. Clever as an insult.
Yeah.
Funny to think about. You're too smart.
Yeah.
That was what drew me into the book, because for folks who haven't read it, the first couple pages, it's like really long sentences, and it kind of has like a breathless, pace to it that, the form is embodying the content, because you said you were, experiencing addiction while you were writing, or, in that time frame. But when I'm hearing you talk about the reason why you did that, it's more like you weren't using form to imitate your mental state, or maybe you were, but because it was more of a letting go.
It was both. Definitely, I wanted breathless is a great word for it. I wanted it to have a kind of manic, breathless quality that replicated. I mean, cocaine was a huge problem for me at the end, and I wanted it to replicate the kind of the mania and the exuberance of the cocaine experience. That was definitely intentional.
Yeah.
But another component was me just letting my hair down and not trying to like obsessively punctuate.
Yeah.
Just like release control and just go.
So will Oblivion Prayer be
It's properly punctuated.
Is it punctuated?
It's properly punctuated.
Where does it pick up after?
Everything in it is after I wrote Notes from the Trauma Party.
Okay, so it ends, or it begins where Notes from the Trauma Party ends.
Yeah, more or less. Okay. But it's a similar structure where it kind of hopscotches through time. It's just Trauma Party hopscotches through time my entire life. And this one, it jumps all over the place between when I got when I finished Notes from the Trauma Party and the present day.
Okay.
So there's kind of like a 3-year period that it covers. And I did relapse after I wrote Notes from the Trauma Party. I had I think like a month-long relapse. But I've been sober since October 2022.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. So yeah, similar structure, kind of like vignettes or anecdotes, jumping all over the place, but it's mainly hospice and recovery stuff.
Okay.
With a few other things thrown in. But yeah.
Cool. Carl Uwe Knaus-Gord is the writer your publisher compares you to in the description of your book. And I did some research into him. He wrote 6 autobiographical novels very quickly. And when the first ones came out, he was still writing, and it caused quite an uproar interpersonally and in the media, because he was speaking so frankly and sometimes cruelly about the people in his life. And that was 6 parts. Sounds like you're working on a second. So I guess I have 2 questions. One, since this book has come out, you said you've lost some relationships. Is there something, if anything, you're doing differently to ensure that doesn't happen this time? And 2, is 2 books the end of this project, or do you have more in you?
I think it will be an ongoing thing. I don't have any immediate plans to write a 3rd one, but I think I will continue. I will return to this sort of thing. Like every few years, I think I'll write something that kind of almost like a document of my life going forward, however long I live.
Forever.
Yeah, forever. I will never die. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it definitely caused some turmoil in my life. And like my father, for instance, still doesn't know that I published the book. And what am I doing to... I don't think there's anything in the sequel, The Oblivion Prayer, that would be as upsetting to people. And there was one section in particular that I took out that I thought would be upsetting to someone. But it's a tricky thing. You know, I mean, a lot of writers are kind of merciless, and I think to make good art, you need, it's the honesty component. Yeah. Like if you're honest, certain truths are unpleasant. Yeah. And any given writer they have to kind of perform they have to kind of weigh how important is this to me to be honest versus how is this going to impact other people? I mean, there are secondary and tertiary considerations, like if the person's upset, is it warranted for them to be upset? Because sometimes people are upset by something and it's like, you have no grounds for being upset about this. And some of the people that were upset about the book, it's like, what did I lie about? You don't like how you come across, but you behave that way. Yeah. That's what you did. Yeah. You know?
And you changed their name?
Yeah, I changed their names and I called it a novel. And they were like, well, but people that know me will know that. And it's like, yeah, but you did that. Yeah. You know? So, and it's not like I'm painting myself with like wonderful,
yeah, it would be one thing if you were.
I mean, like I come across as bad as anybody, you know, and so I mean, it's a tricky thing, and I mean, I needed to write the book. Yeah. In terms of publishing it, there are certain people maybe I wish I could have given them a heads up, but then the question is, if they had objected, would I have taken out those sections? Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. Probably not. So, I mean, in that way, it's like, okay, it's like, is that better? Giving someone a heads up and saying you have no veto power?
Yeah. It's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming. And so, yeah, it's a tricky question, and it's something I still wrestle with a little bit. And I am more concerned about that now because I'm in a better place mentally, and I don't want to negatively impact certain people. But I do really believe that honesty is really important in art. If it's really gonna ring true, it has to be not like literally true, but there has to be a certain rigor to it in terms of like just cutting through the BS, and being like, yeah, just cutting through the BS. And sometimes that hurts people.
Yeah.
That's just reality.
Yeah. It's interesting the subjectivity of the word honesty.
Yeah. No, and that's my ex, or one of my exes, my college girlfriend, Sarah, there are a couple sections with her, and, when I made amends to her as part of the recovery process, she was like, she read the book and she really likes the book, but she was like, there are some details you got wrong. Mm-hmm. And I defer to her because she has an incredible memory, and I was clouded by, alcohol. But that's, like you said, honesty's a tricky thing because, even when I think I'm being honest, I'm not necessarily being honest.
Yeah.
Or it's not that I'm lying, it's that my truth is incomplete.
Yeah. It can't help but be shaped by your perception of the world. And sometimes it's inherently going to be different from mine and everybody else's.
Yeah.
So, I think that gives you some cushion as far as defending yourself.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is how I saw it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that this is an objective truth, but it's true to me.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for talking to me.
Sure. It's been a pleasure.
It really has been.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Where can folks find you, Michael?
Well, you can every month at Hugo House. I'm at the Works in Progress, or generally, and if someone wants to email me, they could email me at Michael, which is AEL, Powers, Keen, which is KEEN. So Michael, Powers, Keen at gmail.com. And I don't have a website or anything, but yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, and I'm in Capitol Hill. And if you ever want to drop by Waterwheel, I'm there on Sundays.
Okay.
At usually 8:30, I get there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I go to Base Camp Cafe a lot, Analog Coffee a lot in Capitol Hill. I'm going to Base Camp more because I have a friend that works there, and see me around Capitol Hill.
I love how usually at the end of podcasts, when the host asks that question, people are like, here's my Instagram handle. Here's me on Twitter. You're like, here's where you can physically find me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let me look at my...
No, it's good.
No. I should do that. My Instagram. What is my Instagram name? Or whatever handle?
Are you active on Instagram?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
It is Mr. MPK333. Mr. as in MISTER. MPK333.
333. That's your Instagram.
That's my Instagram.
You on TikTok?
No, I tried that for a week, and it's like crack. It is so bad for me.
But I know.
Are you on it?
It's a problem.
Yeah, it's people are like, oh, it's kind of like Instagram. It's like, it is not like Instagram. It is way more addictive. Mm-hmm. It's like you'll go on it, and 2 hours will pass.
Yep. Blink of an eye.
Yeah, and it feels like hypnotism or something. Like, it's wild.
But can I tell you?
Yeah.
I think, like, as much time as I lose without being conscious of the amount of time I'm losing on TikTok, I have discovered a lot of, like, good music.
Oh,
and
cool.
a lot of movies and art that I probably wouldn't have if I wasn't on TikTok. I don't know what they put in that algorithm.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by TikTok. Thank you. But I feel very seen when I go on.
Yeah.
But that's probably how they get you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank
for
you so much.
joining
This has
me.
been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Notes from the Trauma Party is currently in process as an audiobook at the studios of the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library. It'll be available with the class ID DBC 31805. We'll let you know when it's available in a later episode. 2 books that we've covered in previous episodes are now available in our catalog. The Lines That Make Us, Stories from Nathan's Bus, was discussed in our 11th episode on June 12th, 2025, with writer Nathan Vass. It's now available as an audiobook with the class ID DBC 19035. A Little Bit of Land by Jessica Gigot, as discussed on our 12th episode on June 26th, 2025, is also available as an audiobook with the class ID DBC 28289. If you have any questions or comments about the library, or to see if you qualify for our services, visit WTBBL.org or call us Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 206-615-0400 or toll free at 800-542-0866. This episode of Literary Notes is a production of the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library, based in Seattle, Washington. I'm your producer, Nathan Ureta. Thanks for listening.